I need your source. I need names. I need evidence.
Now, so since you need names, examples, I had one of the questions that came to me had to do with the I think it's the branch manager of Orange. The letter that came to me said he was kidnapped by your men and they tortured him, called their family, his family, and he was screaming on the phone as they were torturing, and they had to take 10 million francs from him. Are you aware of that, sir?
Yes, I'm aware. Orange,
what did you do?
Orange had been charged to pay its liberation tax. And I was made aware that one of the branch managers was taken into custody because of failure of payment of liberation tax. And I gave instructions consistent with the code of conduct. No one in our custody should be subjected to torture. I realized he had a head butt, and I asked how he sustained that. It was during the process of arrest. Each time something happens, there is always the propaganda that is being propagated out there by those who think this is a kind of a peace walk. This is war.
The code of conduct that you've drawn up for your fighters, does it take into consideration war crimes as defined by the International Criminal Court? Does it take into consideration that?
Our code was drawn by studying the 4 Geneva Conventions. It was drawn also by studying 1918 protocols, all customary practices in terms of war. And even we factored in situations of human rights which occur in times of peace. So it is a reflection of the 4 Geneva Conventions. So it takes into consideration war crimes, it takes into consideration crimes against humanity, which are systematic torture in nature, which are acts of systematic rape, and it takes into consideration genocide, which is deliberate act to eliminate a people fully or partially.
I'm happy to hear that, sir. But if this guy was tortured, he was screaming on the phone, it means either that, I don't assume that you tolerated it, as you say, but it would also mean that they don't take instructions from you. In that case, what did you do?
First, you cannot compare an act like that as falling within the realm of crimes against humanity. It may be arbitrary, but he was not subjected to torture. That's the first thing. He was not subjected to torture.
10 million francs he paid, is that true? If he did, where did the money go to?
Every liberation tax that is collected by our forces is used for the purpose for which it was defined. That is used to make sure that we can support our forces, to make sure that we can support education, we can support health, we can support every other action that can salvage our people, can protect our people, and can continue to project civil society.
But if your soldiers seize somebody in front of his home, maybe coming out of church or from work, and take into the bush and then beat him up, kick him, and he has to pay 10 million before leaving, it sounds like kidnapping, doesn't it?
No.
Kidnapping for ransom, so to speak.
No. At the introduction, you talked about Orange. These are companies. You are looking at Orange is a legal personality. You are looking at institutions operating businesses within Amazonia. They have all been asked to pay their liberation tax within a particular period of time. And if you do not pay your tax, we are either going to shut the business, take people into custody to make sure that the company pays its tax. And that is the routine that we follow. For individual Amazonians, you pay your 10,000, you pay your 5,000, and that's okay. If you do not pay, the law is very clear that penalties will be accrued for 30% after a certain period of non-payment. This is war.
Let me put it this way. Do you believe that the international community has a role in handling this conflict between you and the Biya government?
The international community has played some roles, but I know they have been bullied, and I don't want to get too much into that, but I'm very confident about where we are and that we are successfully using acts of targeted diplomacy and internationalization to bring our case to the halls of powers in London, in Washington, in Berlin, in France. You are aware of different Senate resolutions. You are aware of the debate in the House of Lords. And so the international community has been involved.